Okay, now I want to give a fairly basic overview of the LeadCity uh, real estate suite of CRM, transaction management, listing management, email templates, website design, among other things. But I really want to focus mostly on transaction management and forms creation, template creation, and how all of that integrates with our own electronic signature service called SignFast. Uh, Without further ado, we'll just go through these menus and won't get into a lot of detail, but just want to show what is available with the entire LeadCity solution. So we have website creation, website design. We have page manager for our websites, and we also have AMP sites, which are basically they're kind of modified websites, similar to WordPress but much more secure, and allows us to easily create different mini websites for our niche locations. And so we have these websites set up that can focus on different locations, different areas, different addresses, different condo developments, different associations. And for example, we may have bridgesbayresort.com, we may have 105thstreet.com, we may have lochknolls.com, bridgesbay.com. So and then within those websites, it return the searches. If you go to the web page, they will return the searches that are based off of a location that you create from your MLS data. So if I want to set up a website for bridgesbayresort.com, then I'm going to do a search for, say, Bridges Bay in the legal description. So any results that come back with Bridges Bay in the legal description will show up on that web page. So it's good for SEO. Google likes it, and we get a lot of exposure because of it. And it's something that not many other CRM providers can provide. Testimonials page, and then covenants. So we also have the ability to upload all of your associations covenants and bylaws, and then make those PDFs searchable on the website. So now other clients of other agents can come to your website if they want to download covenants, and that's just a nice little perk. Next section is MLS. We have a dashboard that shows us a number of different pieces of information. We won't get in there now. We have MLS listings. We also have the ability to enter non-MLS listings on our websites. We have predefined searches, and these are predefined searches that we can use to create the specialized web pages on our website. And we have all kinds of metadata management tools to help for our SEO and some automation from within our websites. Form builders for search forms and things like that. So nice details there. Our CRM, we have a dashboard, of course, for the CRM. We have a lead section. We have a contact section. So we've set up contacts for the company, which are shareable contacts, and we can have personal contacts, which is a database of contacts for just the agent. Then we have different management tools where if we receive a lead that doesn't fit all of our rules that we set up, for example, if we get a lead on our website for an agent's listing, then typically that agent would get that lead. But if let's say the lead that came in is already working with another agent, that might cause a conflict. So we have an unassigned lead section that if it doesn't hit all of our rules, then that will go to the administrator, and they'll determine who that lead should be assigned to. We have blocked leads, we have unsubscribed leads, and then some other type of reporting. Inquiry list, this just it tracks the different type of inquiries that we get from the websites. And then setup, so we have setup for classification, status, lead source, company categories, and that's for our contacts. And so we have all of our contacts, all of our company contacts set up by company and then company category. So for example, we may have XYZ appraiser, and that would be under the company category of appraisers. And so we have 30 different company categories, 100 different companies, and then employees from in those companies. It's just a parent-child relationship set up in our databases. We have different contact roles, tags, campaigns. Again, this is all setup type stuff. So if we click on it, just for example, just look at this real quick. If we click on our lead section here, where are we at here? We can filter those leads. You know, some of your agents are going to have thousands of leads, and they can filter by, you know, whatever classification, hot, warm, cold, browsing, on hold, whatever you set up. We give the broker and the administrator default values, but they can set up anything you want. You could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there. We have statuses, active, inactive, and then a few different statuses. And then the classification would be within that status. Then we have tags, and we allow agents to set up their own tags. Common ones would be buyer, seller, buyer potential, seller potential, buyer closed, seller closed, things like that. And of course, you know, we can filter if by any of these other options as well. Yeah, lake ownership, beds, baths, whatever. So here's a few of our leads. So we have our basic lead list, and we try to provide as much information in an organized fashion. We have a quick edit section for a lot of this stuff. We have quick edits for the name and you know, address and things like that. So you don't have to go into their profile to make the changes. And then here's really kind of the bread and butter of our CRM. Is that we have all these options. You know, we can send them an email, or we can send a notification on properties, view details, print details. We can change current agent. And so if as the administrator, if I want this lead to be under a different agent, then I can simply click on change current agent, and then select the agent that I want it to go to, and so we can reassign the lead that way. Change password, add follow-up. And here we can add a transaction and add a listing, add listing alerts. So we've given all these options in the list view, so we don't have to necessarily go into the detail view of the lead. But we have all kinds of different tools for our CRM. And you know, once we get into our lead profile, we have a nice little basic set of information here. We have our mailbox here, which is set up very similar to Gmail. And then we have follow-ups. We have the personal information. We have their favorited homes. We have co-lead information. So if this lead was married, you'd have their wife's name in here, or her husband's name in here. Then we have lead alerts, which is basically a saved search. So if I want to create a saved search for this lead, I can. You know, if I want to, so I'd give it a title, and you know, filter by whatever they want to see. And so we can set up the save search. We can send an email for these current properties, or we don't have to send an email. They can get updated on the next set of properties that are within their parameters. So we'll cancel out of that. And then we have transaction information, listing information. And this is the beauty about our CRM, is that our listing management section, our transaction management section, basically our paperless office, all connects together. And so we're integrated with our CRM, with our website management, with our lead management. Everything talks to each other. So that's our CRM. So TMS, Transaction Management System. This has been the biggest improvement that we've added to our system here in the last 2 years, and we're just wrapping up adding our own proprietary electronic signature service called SignFast, which will soon be available at signfast.com. But we have a dashboard here. We won't go into that yet. We have a compliance section, so we have a whole system set up that so admin or whatever role you give permission to as a broker can basically approve or reject and offer notes on what needs to be signed, what's missing, et cetera, et cetera. Transaction setup. So we have transaction templates. This would be all the forms that you use, similar to what some folks have seen in .loop and zip forms and things like that. We have our own proprietary proprietary naming convention for all of our PDF fields. And so if you're creating a template from a PDF, whether it be Illustrator or Acrobat, all you have to do is follow our naming convention, and you can create your own fields. You don't have to send them in to these other companies to have their back office people work on that. You can have your secretary or administrators, assistants, whatever, actually create your own templates, and it does not take long at all. So we'll just show an example of that. This is our template section. Okay, this shows you the completed steps. File upload. We mapped to the different data tags within our transaction management form. Input mapping, sender input, signer order, e-sign console, and I'll show you what that is here. Actually, we'll just go through an example right now. So let's say I wanted to edit this current template, the lead-based paint disclosure. We have a title. We tell it what category. Category is basically folders. So we have Office docs, we have MLS docs, seller private, shared docs, buyer private. Those are the different folders that you can choose from for this particular template to go into. We have a description for the agents. We can apply tags if we want to help make it more searchable, such as lead or disclosure, anything like that. We have an email subject here with the different variables. So agent full name, need you to sign document name. That's what's going to show up when they receive the email to sign. We have the email body here for the template. We have the document name that's going to show up in this variable area. It's called lead-based paint disclosure. And then signature is required. Of course it is. Reminders enabled, expiration enabled. Yeah, so all of these different pieces of information will be associated with this template, so you can reuse it and reuse it without having to enter the same information every single time. So let's just assume that we're going to recreate this template. So I select a different PDF. Okay. If I select a different PDF while editing, then it's going to take me through all of the steps. If I'm only editing some of this basic information, such as in the title or the email subject or email body, it doesn't take us through all of these steps, okay? TMS mapping. Our system found the following form fields on this document. E/property full address, E/S1 signer role entity. These are data fields. So for example, this will pull when we use this template from within our transaction management system. It's going to pull in the address, it's going to pull in the name of the signer, and it's going to pull in the buyer's name if we have that information available. You'll see here it says S1 lead-based paint present, S1 lead paint reports. These are not data fields. These are actually input fields for the seller and buyer. So S1 B1, that stands for seller buyer, and if it doesn't have an E in front of it, if it actually has the seller or buyer's short code in front of it, that means it's an input field for them to fill out when they receive the invitation for signing. So we do the TMS mapping. Next will be what's called the signer input, which is what I was just talking about. And so we can basically assign those. And so we have all these different signer inputs, right? S1I, S2I. These are the field names that you would find in the PDF file. When you set up the form fields, this is what you're naming them. And so the system has pulled these fields and pulled these names, and it's recognized those fields for what they are. It says, okay, this is a seller 1 signature field, this is a seller 2 signature field, this is a buyer 1 date sign field, all of those things. So very basic mapping technology there. But again, we've made it so simple that any broker or agent or administrator could actually set up their own templates without having to pay to get it done. One other thing that we've added is what's called a sender input mapping. Occasionally you might have a document that you might want the sender to enter information in before he gets to the form editor. We don't necessarily have any of those fields in this document, so it didn't recognize any. But sometimes you may want the sender to actually add information into a field that will be located on the document prior to opening the editor. But with as simple as our editor is to use, we now don't really see a need for that step, but you have the option nonetheless. Then the next step in creating the template is to determine, is signing order required? Sometimes you might have signing order required. For example, let's say you have a property disclosure that needs to be signed by the seller 1 and seller 2. Well, typically the seller 1 is probably going to fill out and answer all of the questions, and so you want to make sure that seller 1 has filled out all of those questions and answers before seller 2 has the opportunity to sign. So in that situation, you might have signing order required, and you might have it in a number of different situations, but that's just one example. We're going to say that signing order is not required here, and now it's going to open our new electronic signature editor called SignFast. But here we actually have a tight integration from our transaction management into SignFast, which is what you see here. So SignFast, we have the role drop down, and we'll look at that just one second. So we have the role drop down, and so you can see that it recognized that this PDF had the following roles: buyer agent 1, buyer 1, buyer 2, seller agent 1, seller 1, seller 2. And you see that all of these fields were pulled from the PDF file. Okay, and so this is just what it found in the actual file. Let's say that you uploaded a blank document and you're just trying to create a template from within editor without having it recognize any fields. You could do that. Just imagine that there are no fields currently located here, and you know that you could actually go here and add and edit roles on this side. Okay, and we have a list of master roles right here that you can select from. So if you don't want to use our PDF naming convention and you just want to create a template from within the editor, you can do that right here by editing the current roles or adding another role. And then obviously, if those roles show up over here, then you can add a signature for buyer agent 1, add a signature for buyer agent 2, and initials and date sign and the text box, and so pretty basic there. You can add any of those tags for any of these roles. Now, the other nice thing about our solution is that we have a section for editing. Okay, so when we get to a point to where we're ready to send a document, we have all of these editing capabilities. So we can add text fields that can be edited. We can add check fields that can be edited. We can add a radio field. And so if you click on that, it's going to say, okay, what options do you want here? So on and so forth. So those are the basic fields that you're going to find, but not every electronic signature provider provides these editing options. Many of them don't allow you to edit at all. And in our industry and in our workflows, we have to be able to edit documents to resend for signature, or at least most MLSs do. Okay, so we could go ahead and just save. So we've clicked save, and that's how you create a template. We just create a template, and most brokerages are probably going to use about 5 or 10 different forms 90 to 95% of the time. So you get those main forms set up as a template and you're gold. Okay, so we have a template. You can create your custom task lists or task fields. You can create custom transaction fields. So for example, let's say on your purchase agreement for your particular office, you have a field that talks about that you want to get the buyer's bank name on your purchase agreement. Okay, well, you can add that field into our transaction management list, or field list, and then once you fill that out, then that field data will transfer over to the purchase agreement. Okay. We have different permissions for transaction management, which is huge, a huge security deal. But we allow you to set up custom permissions based upon different roles. We have document categories, and then we have different sections for financing, different sections for contingencies, and so all of this can be set up. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. Contract clauses, for example. Well, we can just look at a couple. Included items list. Kitchen items included, including your fridge, stove. All these different clauses that you would use over and over. We set up so that you're not having to type or write this in every single time. Okay. And then the TMS PDF field naming. Again, this is our custom naming convention that you can use while editing your form fields in your PDFs. And so we'll just take a quick look at, we'll just set one up here just a second. So if I open this PDF up here and I go to edit, you can see these are the different form fields. This is not rocket science. And so if you use this form field of E/offer date, that's going to pull the offer date from TMS onto this template once it's set up. Okay. So we have buyer 1's name, buyer 2's name, seller 1 name, seller 2 name, address name, and then this whole section is called addendum info, whatever. And then down here you'll see the different naming conventions for this information as well. Okay, so that's an example of what your PDF file is going to look like before you upload it into our TMS template creator. If you want our system to be able to read the fields in your PDF. So back to this. Okay, so let's go back to our transactions list. And here's a sample transaction here. So we have quick stats, we have seller information, buyer information, so we can enter all this information. And this is just a test. This is a test transaction, so none of the information is legit. We have the section for the agent, buyer agent. Of course, all the property information, all the agent information, all the contact information, commission information, documents, that's all automatically imported when we create the transaction. I'm going to show that to you in just one second. We have a mailbox for each transaction. So any mail that comes in and out of this transaction will show up here. And then this section here is called transaction information. This is the information that you would need to have filled out in order to create a purchase agreement. So many MLSs are going to have custom purchase agreements that are going to have fields that are different from this particular one, and that's fine. We just have to customize this transaction information section to each office's or each MLS's, each broker's different requirements. But most of this information is going to be pretty basic from MLS to MLS, from purchase agreement to purchase agreement. So again, most of this information was automatically imported, and then we have to fill out other basic information such as offer price, included items, excluded items, the offer date, the closing date, expiration date, the additional provisions. And then we have the whole separate section for payment, and this will look familiar to many of you, where okay, we have new mortgage, installment contract, assumption, cash, other. You can select one of those payment options, and then you have these different options from within your financing section. So closing cost paid by, the loan type, the percent price that the loan will be for, different percentage rate, seller paid closing costs, when's the appraisal due, all this you can fill out right here in the form, which is way easier than filling it out on the actual purchase agreement. Then you can select from a number of different contingencies. So most of the time, the property is going to get an inspection. So you select the inspection, and when's it due? It's going to be due within 10 days of accepted offer. Okay. So any other contingencies in this offer, you'd select from there. Other contract fields. These can be custom fields that maybe your purchase agreement has that very few have. We can add these so that we can get that data mapped to the PDF file when it's time. So, okay, so I filled out that information, and now I have three options. Am I going to use an existing template? Do I want to upload a document for signature, or do I want to upload a document, say, from another agent in order to get my client's signature? So we're not creating the document; it's already been created. I just want to apply the signature overlay template, so I don't have to drag and drop signatures. They will already show up, which is sweet. So we're just going to just give you a quick overview here. We're going to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to use an existing template. Forms template offer packet. Now, here's one thing that we've added to our system that most don't. When we create this transaction by entering the MLS number, if you remember when we looked at from within the lead profile, we could add a transaction. So we click add transaction, add the MLS number, and it pulls in all the other information. It knows who the agent's going to be, it knows what the commission's going to be. But we also pull in the MLS documents. We pull in the property disclosure and the lead-based paint disclosure. So I want to add documents to the end of my template. So I'm going to add the seller disclosure. I'm going to add the lead-based paint disclosure, and I'm going to get electronic signatures. Okay, so now the system has recognized that these roles exist from within all of the documents in this offer packet, but I don't want to send this offer off quite yet to the other agent, and so I'm going to remove him from my recipient list or signer list, because this really is the signer list. I still have the option to override my template and say that signing order is required, even though my template says that it isn't. Okay. So these are the signers. It's as easy as that. I determine who's going to sign, and now I already want to go to my editor, and so I click edit and apply tags. The offer packet, along with the property disclosure and lead-based paint disclosure, that's quite a number of pages. So it takes about 10 seconds longer to load than I like to see, but it's processing a lot of information. Okay, so the first page is simply an instruction sheet, but you'll go down here and you'll see, voila, it's pulled all the information into here. This is the agency disclosure. Sees that it already has our signature tags there. We have a hold harmless disclosure here, rate on fact sheet, and then we have our actual purchase agreement. And so again, you can see all the information that has come from transaction management. But let's say, oh man, I forgot something. I can still edit. Some systems don't allow you to edit after you pull the information, and they don't have the fields as editable, but we do. Okay. So you can see all the check marks are where they're supposed to be from what we already filled out in our transaction information. But wait, what do we have here? We have a property disclosure, and we have a lead-based paint disclosure. Well, in most systems that we've worked with, you have to go to your MLS system. Ours is Flex. You have to download it, save it to your computer, upload it back into the system, send it off separately for electronic signature, and it's very cumbersome, not very efficient. Now, what did we do? We automatically downloaded those documents into the transaction profile. Once we selected our template, we added those documents, we appended those documents right to the end of our template. So now, so we have that, and here's one other feature that is pretty sweet as well. We can apply an overlay template even though we're already using a what I call data template. So because we've imported the property disclosure and lead-based paint disclosure in, we now have the option, and you'll see the pages show up here. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. The first 3 are the property disclosure. Page 4 is lead-based paint. So all I have to do is drag this page 1, for example, because this is page 1 of the property disclosure, and you'll see that it placed the tag. Now, obviously, because this document was manually uploaded, and it probably shrunk a little bit during the process. Plus, they didn't they didn't upload it very well from a resolution standpoint because it is difficult to read. But with all that being said, obviously those tags aren't going to be able to end up in the exact same place. But if they're uploaded correctly, or they were done paperlessly, then those tags will always be placed perfectly. So you see how simple that makes it versus having to manually pull tags. And let's say that you had 20 tags on each page. For example, here's the lead-based paint disclosure. Typically, I would have to drag all of these tags onto this page, but because I applied an overlay template, it automatically shows up. I mean, how sweet is that? Like I said, if this were a better uploaded document, or it was done all electronically, then all of these tags would be placed perfectly. So believe me, there will be times where you're using this and you're gonna pull in that lead-based paint overlay template, and it's gonna land perfectly, and you're gonna be like, sweet, that just saved me a ton of time. Okay, so we've created that document and in this template, and we're ready to send for signature. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just click send. Oh, and notice that as the sender, I'm also a signer. It says you may sign the document now. And so we have a nice little pointer here that says click here to start. So I'm going to click there. We're going to sign. And we're going to sign. And we're going to sign. And you can see the stamp. What we do, and this is part of another video, but in our setup, when we set up our SignFast account, we allow the broker to we give the broker the option to decide, do they want to use easy stamp by default, or do they want to force the signer to actually select a signature or draw a signature or upload a signature, which is a complete waste of time for most signers. Signers want it easy, just like it was here. So when you click, you don't get a pop-up that says, would you like to draw your signature, select a signature. It just does the stamp. And it's just as valid, just as legally viable as a manual signature. Okay, so we've received the notification that we need to sign. So we click, we open the document, and here's our ERSA. I call it the ERSA, but the ERSD. Electronic record and signature disclosure. We have to agree that by proceeding, we agree that our electronic signature is just as valid as a manual signature. And of course, we're going to agree to that, and we click here to start. So the signer gets to sign, sign, sign. And on an offer packet, the buyers, well, both the buyers and the sellers have a lot of things to sign, and nothing is as fast as this and simple as this. It doesn't waste time asking you, do you want to select your signature? Now, from within, again, from within the configuration or the setup within SignFast, the broker can determine whether they want to auto navigate or not auto navigate. So if auto navigate was off, then we wouldn't have this pointer over here basically taking us to the next field. The signer would actually have to scroll through the documents to find their signatures or their signature tags. So that's an example of the signer signing. And we've also worked very hard for the mobile experience to make sure that they can pull this up on their phone, and the resolution is good, the flow is good, and so we know that that's very important. Over half of our clients these days are not only signing electronically, but signing from their phone. So I go back here, and now I'm back within my transaction management profile. You can see that it saw that I signed, so it says it's completed. Okay, and we can reload the documents, and it shows that Aaron Jones Ajira just signed, because that's what we just did. Now, from within our document list, we have all these options. We can merge documents if we want to. We can submit all the documents for review, and this is the compliance portion of it. Okay, so we have a whole section for compliance that, and the broker can assign different roles from within LeadCity who can and can't have compliance privileges. We won't go through all that today. Just know that we have the ability to do that, and we have all these options from the documents as well. We can email, download, view, reorder the pages if we need to before we send off for signature. We can edit the name. If we get a signed signature such as this back, and now I want to send it off to another person for signature, we can do that from right here. We don't have to re-download it and re-upload it. The system allows us to do that. We can split this document if we need to. We can submit this single document for review, or we can trash this document. So again, gives us the status. This gives us the information on the on this type of signature. If it was manually signed, then this would say M sign, but since it was e-sign, we know it's e-sign. It's completed, and it's 14 pages long. Okay, all kinds of information from a document management standpoint in this little section of our transaction manager. So it is that simple. Like I say, anytime you're working with documents, you're going to have three options. You're going to use an existing template, you're going to upload and add a signer manually, or you're going to upload and apply a template. And you saw how we did that before. We simply applied the overlay template, almost like back in the olden days when you did use an overhead projector, right? So that's kind of what this icon represents. So that's a quick overview of transaction management. Okay, listing management is very similar, but it's on the listing side. Listings and transactions are two completely different animals. Some transaction management systems like to combine them all in one and call them deals or something along those lines. They're not. They're not the same. They deal with two different sets of contracts, two different types of clients, two different you're doing one before you even have a listing, and anyway, they're separate animals, and so we have them set up as separate sections. We have staff management, of course, role management, agent management, office management. We have email templates that you can create, drip campaigns, different types of campaigns, agent insights, and what that is that we allow agents the opportunity to log into the back end here. They can add pictures and descriptions and just different adding different content for, say, restaurants and parks and games, video games, lakes and boats and cars and different areas of your city. And so they can just add all this content, and it makes them look like the expert. Remax has that, and they're called agent insights. Well, we've added that section to allow our agents to add content to our website as well. A lot of different options under these settings. So I'm not going to go through all that. The main goal was to show you how the template creation works, how the transaction management works, how efficient and straightforward it is to get an offer sent off. Literally, with our tools, from the time that you enter the MLS number to create a transaction to the time that you have it sent off is easily less than 5 minutes.